Travis Wayne Goodsell. Okay, while the other video is saving, we'll do this one, which I'm expecting will be quicker. We'll see if I have to give a long intro to explain things. I've got the Star Watch, I've got biblical sign in the heavens playlists, so you can refer to those to get further information. And so with this being Armageddon, the last days, the end of the world, as they intend to destroy us, destroy America, and rise up from the ashes with a new world order, the social control, and the doctrine of Lucifer from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, who have the inverted pentagram as the keystone on the doors of the Salt Lake Temple and the Seagull Gate, saying that they control Utah government. There are certain attachments to the stars in the heavens with their movements through the constellations. So when John in chapter 12 of Revelation says a woman clothed with the sun, the moon at her feet, and 12 stars on her head, or 12 stars on her head, that's referring to an additional 3 stars on the crown, which is Leo, which is understood as only having 9 stars. And so people like to complain, oh no, it has 12 stars, it's not 9 stars, so there's nothing different. No, 9 stars is what they designated it. And technically, there are bazillion stars out there in that location alone. But the ancients assigned 9 stars to make up the constellation of Leo. Thus, it was a precise date in the future that was given by John. And that date is come and gone. But that's what I used as a template to confirm that all the other signs are actually the other signs. Because the sun darkening, well, that's solar eclipse. Well, they happen a lot. So how do you know which one's which? With the main dating in John chapter 12 verse 1. All the other signs must be in the proximity of that time frame. And sure enough, that's what I've established, is that the first total solar eclipse over America on 21st of August 2017 to 8 April 2024. That's the time frame we're working with. And yeah, all hell's broken loose during this time, hasn't it? As we're experiencing a coronavirus, just as Moses experienced a coronavirus, of which was the cause for Pharaoh to say, your people can go. And so the Mormon faith, Mormon scriptures, as I've been going over time and time again, has a passage in section 103 of the Doctrine and Covenants, starting in verse 15, because verse 14 talks about Mormons who will be denied an inheritance for their wickedness, and then says the redemption of Zion must needs come by power. And so he then refers to what is Jeremiah chapter 23, which is the prophecy for which the Jews are looking for fulfillment of. Christians are not. Jews are. For Christians, it's the second coming of Jesus who failed to fulfill Jeremiah. The Jews are looking for the first guy, a mortal man. And Joseph Smith said he will be a Mormon in the apostate church that will usurp my organization. And I've gone over that time and 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 time again. And so I've also gone over that Mormons who are baptized into the church are ordered in the scriptures, I think it's Doctrine and Covenants, to search for the signs of the coming of the Christ, who is not Jesus Christ alone. The Christ is a title for anointed, and kings are the ones who are anointed. And so Christians are in denial that King David, of whom Jesus was supposed to restore his kingdom, they deny him being a Christ, a Messiah. The Jews don't. That's who the Jews are looking for, is a mortal man to restore the kingdom of David. He will not be raised up among the Jews. The Jews know this. Joseph Smith knew this, and thus he was trying to be that person. He was murdered, and he knew that it wasn't going to be him. And I've gone over all of the prophecies that he had made. Prophecies about a future Mormon instead. And so my lawsuit against the church has had me wondering, when am I going to see relief for the petition that I've put forth to stop the abuse, to stop the death threats, to stop the hatred against me? And I've filed a RICO conspiracy case, which means anybody helping the church commit crimes against me gets the church in trouble and gets them in trouble. That's what RICO conspiracy is all about. More than one person involved in committing of a crime. And so all this talk about conspiracy theories are fake news. No, they're not. It's more than one person involved in the committing of a crime. You have to develop a theory to put the pieces of the puzzle together to have tested to confirm if that is actually what happened. And crimes that involve more than one person are a conspiracy. If they think they can get away with it by, oh, you're just throwing out conspiracy fake news. Yeah, they want to say that because they don't want to be held accountable for their crimes. And so I've been watching the heavens as I've recognized the Bible signs being fulfilled. And the moon turning to blood as well, and apostles dying like flies during those lunar eclipses. I did a video on those. And what we have for this weekend, now that I've given you an 8.5-minute intro, is, I'll put this at the beginning of the video anyway, is you'll see, starting from left and going to the right, well, let's go from the right and work our way to the left. You see the full moon. I don't know if you can see the small print. If you have computers with computer screens like I do, you'll see it. But if you're working on your little cell phone, yeah, you're not going to see it. Maybe if you blow it up, maybe. But yeah, it's the bottom line shows full moon. And the date and the time here in West Valley City. Yeah, West Valley City. And so the full moon, if you've been paying attention, refers to the moon at its fullest point. It is full grown. And that's the symbolism here, is that it's reached the peak. And thus it's spiking because it's going to go downhill from there until it becomes a new moon. The news is getting spike wrong. It really annoys me. And even after I told MSNBC, hey, you're using spike wrong, they still keep using it. And so it's the full moon. Today, it's being judged. It's on the scales of Libra. So it's being measured. It's being weighed. It's being judged. And the judgment outcome is the full moon. Where is it? Which constellation? And where is it in conjunction to? You'll notice that it's closest to Jupiter. Jupiter is the male child, called man-child in the King James Version translation, in Revelation chapter 12, verse 1. It's where he got it from, is where Matthew got the passage of, a virgin shall give birth and shall call his name Emmanuel. And then the author throws in a bogus translation to misinform and detract from the actual name. Amun El, the god Amun, the Egyptian god of noon, of the full sun at noon sky. Full moon refers to the religion, which is the left eye in Egyptian. The right eye of Horus is the sun. And notice, if you watch the movie Gods of Egypt, Horus has his eyes plucked out, just like Samson. Samson, oh, isn't that containing the Hebrew word shemesh, which is the word for sun? I wonder what that N refers to. If only somebody had deciphered Paleo-Hebrew and could inform us as to what the determinative... Oh, wait, Travis did. That's right. Sun God. Sun King. And so this is a religious judgment that is going on right now. And on the full moon, it's by Jupiter. Remember, when Moses confronted Pharaoh, Pharaoh was the leader of the government and the church. He was not only the apostate government, he was the apostate church. And Moses confronted him to say, let my people go, so that Moses could be the leader instead. And then the firstborn son dies during coronavirus. For the Egyptians, that's how succession on the throne of government and religion happened. And the firstborn son dies under their coronavirus. No more succession. The dynasty has ended. That's what it's referring to in Moses. And Moses becomes the restorer of the kingdom of David. And thus Isaiah and Matthew and John talking about a future man like Moses, according to Jeremiah also, according to Joseph Smith, who will restore the kingdom of David. That's Jupiter. Because Jupiter retrogrades in each constellation for a pregnancy period. And so it's Jupiter who was born of Virgo, the constellation Virgo, on the 23rd of September 2017, and I've gone over the significance of that, and all women of the Mormon Church would know exactly what that date refers to. And if you don't, what? Seriously? You keep pushing for equality in the church and you forget that date. So, there you have the full moon for religion, the judgment, as it is now currently in the scales of Libra, being judged. And the judgment will be finalized on the 5th, Sunday. And the judgment is for Jupiter. Saturn is the one who makes the judgment. That's the judge. And notice he's been veering, retrograding away from the mouth of the goat beast, Capricorn. It's going towards Jupiter. It's siding with Jupiter as the moon is full after having been judged. The judge is rendering a final judgment for a religious decision of leadership for Jupiter. Mars is Nelson. Mars is now at the tail of the dragon, the sea dragon. Cetus, I believe it's called. And if you've read Revelation chapter 12, there's a talk about another sign at the stars falling from the tail of the dragon. And I've shown how that's been fulfilled several times, not just once. Monson dying was during such falling of the stars from heaven, quadranted meteor showers. But again, we have another fulfillment with Mars being Nelson, as I've identified way back in February 2017. Because he was giving that Family Days lecture here in Salt Lake City during the flood that occurred during that week and weekend. And again, go back to Revelation chapter 12. Look for the flood reference. Jupiter was involved in that too, but he went right into the flood zone. And so what you have is Nelson being judged against. Saturn choosing to side with Jupiter as the full moon is there in conjunction, after having gone through the scales of judgment, waiting for Saturn to render a final judgment. And it's on the 5th of July, the day after the Independence Day celebration that we're having here in America. Let my people go. Independence Day. During the coronavirus. See how that works? I'm not making things up. These are the signs as interpreted by the ancients. I can't say, oh, that's a pretty goat, and it's for happiness and positive powers. You know, I can't do that kind of mind manipulation. That's astrology. That's a fake. That is purposely trying to get money from you so that you can conform to what they want you to believe in. And so, yeah, they'll tell you all about your love life, and they'll be vague enough to say, oh, wow, this person must be the fulfillment of that soothsayer, whatever they're called, astrologer. And so you can read your astrology chart. Oh, I'm supposed to behave in this manner today. Oh, I'm supposed to do this today. No, you're not. Don't let them tell you how to live your life. You live your life. Make good choices. Don't take away the rights of others. Don't let others control your life. So this is not others controlling my life. The ancients assigned characters to the planets. They assign characters to the constellations. And so as the planets move through the constellations, they tell a story. And they wrote it down and called it scripture. And then they had another author who tried to reenact those using different names in Hebrew to tell biblical story versions of what the ancient Egyptians originally told. And you can't tell a different story of what was supposed to be the original story. The Bible author tried to do it, as I've gone over, but that's how it works. That is the sign for this weekend, for the 4th of July weekend, the day we celebrate our Independence Day. So, is Judge First going to be the one to fulfill this, or is there something else that's going to happen that's going to cause the fulfillment? Is it going to be this weekend, or is this just the sign for a future event to occur? We won't know until it happens. But it's been frustrating trying to explain this to people. The signs are not the event. The signs are the sign of the event. Whether the event happens on the sign or another day plus or minus a month, won't know until it happens. Because Monson not only died on the night of the sign in the heavens of the stars falling from heaven, it was also a month before the sign of the lunar eclipse. When the 3 apostles died in 2015, that was between the 3rd and the 4th tetrad eclipse. The 3rd being on that Saturday General Conference April meeting. And then you had Perry, Packer, and then Scott. All within that time frame, which was a unique experience because it wasn't plus or minus a month. It was between the 3rd and the 4th eclipses. And so don't get caught up in thinking you're going to expose me as a fraud or a false prophet when the Mormon prophets are doing nothing with this. They did nothing with the total solar eclipse. They did nothing with lunar eclipses and deaths of the apostles. Other Mormons did, and the church came out to silence them. They do not want Mormons talking about the second coming, as they call it. Because it's not the second coming, it's the first coming. And King Herod Nelson does not want him to be the king to replace him. And so he's sending out his wise men to find out where this guy is. We need to silence him before he confronts us in the federal courts, demanding to be set free. So, if you don't know the signs, you're not going to know the Christ. You're going to be caught up in a bunch of lies and deceptions.